about love, the love intelligence that governs the universe, and that each of us are incarnations of this presence. So the word God previous to that meant some kind of man in the sky that judged you, that had chosen people. But once I understood that God was not that, it became very easy for it to creep back into my conversation. Back into my conversation.
The way that I will feel about myself is not determined by how you look at me. The way that I will really feel about myself and experience myself is determined by how I look at you. And that's exactly the opposite of the way that most of the world thinks. You know, the world is totally at the effect. And what this does is put you at cause. It's like the Buddhists used to teach. There's only one ego appearing as many.
So selfish!
Or, in other words, there's only one of us that thinks that it's here.
Yeah.
You know, and you're it. If you go through life, judging and condemning other people, having negative thoughts, all that you're really doing is sending a message right into your own unconscious mind that you're guilty. It's like A Course in Miracles puts it, forgiveness does not pardon sins and make them real. It sees there was no sin. And in that view are all your sins forgiven. We're taking responsibility for the whole thing. We're realizing that the universe of time and space was not made by God, but that it was made in this seeming separation from him. And thus it's not his responsibility, it's our responsibility. So now we can forgive people not because they've really done something, but because they haven't really done anything, because we're the ones that made up the whole thing in the first place. The way it started was I was meditating in my living room, and I came out of this deep meditation, and I looked over at my living room couch, and there were two people sitting there. And they identified themselves as ascended masters. And the woman said that in a previous incarnation, she was St. Thomas, one of the original disciples of Jesus. And the other guy said that he was Thaddeus. He was also one of the original disciples of Jesus. And the major teaching that they would eventually get into is a modern spiritual guide called The Course in Miracles. The voice that teaches A Course in Miracles is the voice of Jesus. And according to them, the Jesus that they knew 2,000 years ago is not the official version. This is not your parents' spirituality.
You don't look like an Aikido master.
I'm not. I'm just an old guy who's been doing Aikido for about 40 years. But let's try something. Punch me in the stomach, hard. Oh. So that's a taste of Aikido.
Okay, you're good at that.
Well, it's a little taste. I've been doing it for a long time.
But I heard you're actually a Sufi.
Yeah?
So what's the difference between being a Sufi and being a Muslim?
Sit down. Let me tell you about it. Islam, as many religions are, is focused on outer practice. How do you pray? How do you act morally and ethically in the world? Whereas Sufism is like the world's great mystical traditions, it's about inner experience. My old Sufi master told me, anyone can learn to pray, anyone can learn the outer ritual of prayer, but Sufism means to develop a heart that can pray. There's an old saying in Islam, a revelation through the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him. God says, there are 70,000 veils between you and me, but there are no veils between me and you. Those 70,000 veils are actually veils that we put over our own souls. So the light, the joy, the happiness, if you will, of the soul is not available to us. Not because it's not there, but because we've covered over with our concern with other people's opinions, our running after things of the world that are all ephemeral.
How can I uncover my soul?
Veil by veil. Try saying Bismillah before you act.
Bismillah.
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 B is in, Ismi is name, Allah is God. Bismillah.
Bismillah.
Yes. And not the word, of course, is important. The meaning is important.
Yeah, it's really powerful, and I was really scared. I don't want to be afraid to try something different. I don't want to get into repetitive routines of, self-destructive behavior. I'm just sick of, being pigeonholed by myself or by other people. I want to be free. I feel so limited. I feel so small.
For me, I have a few basics. Patience, timing, kindness, honesty, inner peace. That's a good guide.
Patience, timing, kindness, honesty, inner peace.
Right. In my opinion, the real test is the action. You have the knowledge, you have the understanding. Now what are you going to do with it? Where's the value? There's no value in just knowing. The value is in doing.
God dwells in the depth of your being, not as some entity, but as the formless one life itself.
Would you like to live in the now more?
Yes.
Yep, too late. Already then?
Yes.
Up. Again, try it again. Living in the now.
Yes.
Up, too late. Yeah, you got to be instantaneous in the now. Otherwise, you're in the next now.
I am the now, in essence. I am not what happens. I am the space in which everything happens. That's your true identity.
What is real? What is real is the cosmos itself and your relationship to it. That's what's real. And discerning what that relationship is and how to work in it is the journey. That's the journey where you are in your life.
So if the physical world isn't necessarily real, why would it matter if I did good things or if I became a mass murderer?
Well, two things. First of all, the physical world is real enough for what it is. It's not cause to itself. There's a big distinction there. But the specific answer to your question, the philosopher Ernest Holmes said, there is no sin but a mistake, and no punishment but the logical outcome. So if you make mistakes, meaning that they bring you an outcome that you don't want, then that's the answer to your question. If you got an outcome that you totally wanted, you would find out you didn't want it. The reason being that what we are is an aspect of an infinite possibility. And when you outline specifically how it's going to be, you have circumscribed the infinite. You've told the infinite how it is you will be. Now that creates a conflict because your soul has told the infinite what it seeks is to be at one with the infinite.
So the average person is not experiencing reality. They're experiencing their thought about reality. Now, in terms of do we create that? Yes. We create our experience of reality. Happiness does not have to be something that happens at the end of some kind of goal. Happiness can be along the way. It's a moment-by-moment choice. It has nothing to do with circumstance or situation. It's a dimension of your being. When an individual is living to release life energy or to release their talents, happiness expands. Joy expands because they're in sync, I believe, with the fundamental harmony of the universe, which is to express itself.
The reason why people think there are many, many moments in every hour, in every day, in your lifetime, because what happens changes continuously. The forms around you change continuously. The thoughts that go through your head change. The emotions that you feel change. The people around you change. So people think every time it's a new moment. This moment and another moment and another moment. If you look more deeply, you see it's not another moment, it's always now. But the form that appears in the now changes continuously. But it's always now. And ultimately, now is who you are. The space of now is the space of I. And then things happen in it. They change continuously.
The world that the senses perceive is the realm of effect. The realm of consciousness is the realm of cause. So when your consciousness shifts, you have an ability to affect situations in a way that you have absolutely no idea about. So there is no out there. Not really. The Course in Miracles says one day you will realize everything's happening in here.
There's an old story I heard once about a extension agent who's going through the countryside, and he comes upon this farmer sitting on his front porch, rocking in his chair, chewing a piece of grass, and the extension agent says to the farmer, "Wow, great field you've got, great. You know, your whole farm is just beautifully manicured. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's really terrific. God's really done a great job with your farm." And the old farmer says, "Yeah, but you should have seen it when God had it all to himself." You know, we're part of our creation. You can't be separate from your own creation.
Stop fooling around. Stop fooling around.
So, Stephen, what exactly is it that you teach here at the University of Philosophical Research?
I teach attention mechanics.
What's that?
Well, in pursuing an understanding of your consciousness, you'll find that you are what you do with your attention. So until you know where your attention is, what you're doing with it, what it's doing, you won't really have a clue about how things are coming together in your life.
Does that mean that you pay attention to what you want and just don't pay attention to what you don't want?
Yeah, so what do you want?
I want to be happy.
You want to be happy. Would you be happy just thinking about happiness?
No, I just want to be happy.
Well, do you know what happiness is?
No.
So we can forget about the whole universe of thoughts. We don't have to look there. If you want real happiness, there's only one place to look. Look in reality. Now, do you know when reality is?
Yeah, it's right now.
It is now. But this is a slippery problem, because now is not when you think it is. Come here, let me show you. Let's use this chalk. Okay, catch it. You caught it.
Uh-huh.
So you weren't thinking while you were doing that. You had to be present to catch that. If you had tried to think to catch it, you wouldn't have caught it. And the reason you can't do it is because the thought is always half a second or more out of phase with reality. That's why you can't drive and think. Have you ever tried to think when is the right time to turn the car when you're going around the corner?
No, you can't do that.
You can't do it. You can't do it. And the reason you can't do it is because you're not in the present moment. So only part of your consciousness actually gets to the present, actually is in reality. And your attention is what places your mind.
Check and mate.
Well, one thing I've learned about happiness is it's not always about getting the thing you want, but it is about learning how to be with what is. So imagine that there's this great field. I mean, look at where we are right now, but even right here, you can just imagine there's this great field, and it's your field, and you get to bring forth your dreams, which is really discovering who you are in the process of working on your dreams. You learn to even out your experience so that you can give of your full presence into the moment that you find yourself in, into the experience that you are in this day. And you begin to experience what you're really claiming here and looking for, and that is a sense of freedom. And with that comes a kind of creativity that brings your essence, because you came here to give your gift. Nobody can give your gift.
When I had been in my darkest moment, I happened to read The Power of Now. What Eckhart Tolle had to say about happiness had been the impetus to go on this journey. I was in Vancouver to meet him.